Somebody asked me to take a look at two stocks, Hertz and Carol's Restaurant Group, that owns a bunch of Burger Kings and probably other things as well. So let's take a quick look at Hertz and let's look at three different things: the charts, tip ranks, analyst reports, hedge fund activity, and FinViz. So here's Hertz's chart, and it would look like, when you're looking on a daily basis going back to 2018, we've got this constant rejection up at the area of $21, and we've just bounced off of this 3-point trend line, but we're on our way down again. Looks like it's going into oversold territory, but when you expand to the week, it's a different story. This is a stock that's lost an awful lot of its value. It used to be worth $120 back in 2014. I don't know, was there a stock split or something? Need to look at that. But it has been struggling with this zone here for a longer period than we saw in the daily, probably going back to 2017, even longer, going back to early 2017. This is just an area that's been deadly for Hertz. So that's one thing that I noticed. Now let's take a look at a couple of websites. Let's take a look at tip ranks. Let's see what the analysts are saying. First of all, there's not very many analysts that follow it. And those that do, we've got one that's a 5-star analyst, Morgan Stanley, but last month he reiterated a sell, saying it was going down to $5. Here's somebody at Jefferies who says it's a buy 2 months ago at $17. So they're all over the place. Let's take a look at the hedge funds, though. Hedge funds in Hertz, this is a December report, so we don't know what hedge funds have done in January, February, and March. But Joel Greenblatt added $230,000. Ray Dalio added almost $1 million, but it's 0.01% of his holdings, if you could imagine that. So this tells you that a lot of big hitters. Carl Icahn now has 2.6% of his portfolio in Hertz. So, maybe that's not a bad place to be. This is presuming that they bought them back in the last quarter. So let's go back in the day and we look at this period in here. They actually bought the stock at this level in here, maybe anywhere between $11 and $16, and it's dropped quite a bit since the fourth quarter when they would have made their purchases. Okay, the other thing we want to take a look at is FinViz. FinViz says that Hertz doesn't tell us what the institutions own, which I'm surprised. I thought it would have that. But institutions, transactions, 6%. Anyways, the short float is 19%. So this stock is heavily shorted based on the last short report. Now, it could be that quite a few people have covered, but this would be, I don't know when it would be. It might be, the short report might have been issued before this date here. Probably not. I think it comes out every 2 weeks, but that's something to look into. It's a company that's losing money. Their net income is negative $59 million. So, take a look at that. So there's three things. The other one we're looking at is TAST, TAST, which is the Burger King holder. And here we are going back to 2016, and we can draw some. That's not a very good trend line there. That's not going to help us. Maybe we can draw one here. And that's not very good either. So nothing there. But let's look at it now on a weekly basis and look back even further. It's a very volatile stock. It has dropped back to under $1 before. And it's found support and bounced back off of that. Now, whether that was by, a reverse stock split or something, I don't know. You need to look into that. Let's look at the other two parameters now. Let's look at TAST. This is the trend line that they drew. That's just a 2-point trend line. But its institutions, 60% is owned by institutions, and their transactions are down 10%. Its short float is 10%, so it's also heavily short floated. and it's losing money. So take a look at those things as well. And now lastly, let's take a look at tip ranks and TAST, and we're going to find not much information on them as well. Not enough analysts really following it to make any recommendations. 7 months ago and 8 months ago, you had some pretty good analysts saying to buy it at $14. It's quite a bit less than that now. So it's trading now at $3, and the analysts were telling you 7 months ago to buy it. This is why you always want to take a look at tip ranks and look into how good these analysts are. He may be a 4-star analyst, and actually he's getting a pretty good return, but when you benchmark him against the S&P, he's not doing so well. He's down 4.4%. And the other one that we're looking at, the SunTrust guy, he's doing pretty good. His average return is 1.5% against the S&P. You know, do you want to invest your money with this guy as well? So take a look and see. He does Chipotle, Denny's, so he's in the restaurant quarter. So take a look at what, if you have a subscription to tip ranks. The last thing we want to look at then is hedge funds. And not much activity in hedge funds. So on the December report, this guy who's not very successful reduced by 3%. And this fellow here, who's also a 1-star hedge fund manager, increased his up to $12 million. So not much information there. So I couldn't give you any advice, but they look like they're both type of stock where you buy this one at $3 and you put your stop wherever you want below there, but now it's over the 50, so that's a good sign. If you've got some news that tells you that Burger King's going to be doing well, given the social distancing and so on, give it a shot. Put a stop in, I would say, right here at 245. If it hits that and goes below, then you were wrong. I was wrong. That was TAST. So let's go back to Hertz. What would we do with Hertz? You've got this trend line here, so you definitely want to put a stop right there. So if you were to buy it, 466, your stop would be under $4, or maybe you could even put your stop here at 319. So if you're keen on these stocks, they're not something that I would invest in, but this is how I would do it. If I were buying, this is where I would put in my stops. And you've got a little bit of information about hedge funds, and you've got not very much information from the analysts.